So I'll let KeyPedia introduce itself. KeyPedia is a regulatory agent for FDA, EMA, and all pharmaceutical worldwide organizations. It can help finding 43s, warning letters from the FDA, inspections and enforcement actions, also from guidances as well. It's also able to access international guidances, company profiles, and FDA ownership book. This this month's warning letter Wednesday is going to be about the AI warning letter that happened in April 2nd. It was given to Cosmetic Labs, which is a cosmetics company. It was the facility is in Michigan, and it was inspected in late October 2025. The primary violations included adulterative drugs, unapproved new drugs, and CGP noncompliance. Maybe asking yourself, okay, where does AI come in? Well, they misuse of AI within their general manufacturing processes and specifications. They did this without any human oversight or validation. This resulted in a failure to meet legal production standards. They also had things such as unapproved new drugs and testing failures as well. The failure of testing coming from raw materials for identity, purity, strength, and quality. There's also a failure to test for high-risk components for potential contamination before the use of these products. The required corrective actions that were given through KeyPedia when asked, what can you tell me about this warning letter, was inventory management, registration updates, and consult and audit. KeyPedia essentially said if this was given to Puro Labs and what they should do, they should hire a qualified consultant to oversee these actions and undergo a comprehensive six-system audit of its manufacturing operations. The FDA has warned that failure to address these issues could lead to further legal actions, such as a seizure and injunction. This really does tell us about the use of AI in the pharmaceutical industry, that you should be very wary about how you use it, and to make sure that you don't misuse it in any way. Make sure that it is validated and a human is overlooking it, especially when you're asking it very complicated and severe questions. I want to give it over to George now for his speech or his recap at the AI Summit at ISPE, which kind of correlates into this.
Thank you, Zeph. I appreciate this warning letter of the month. A couple of comments I have on it, and I'm curious to hear about Dan's, is we actually did publish a PDA whiteboard paper about this exact warning letter and topic. This wasn't the FDA's first time mentioning AI. Actually, in the paper, I believe this was the fifth sort of regulatory correspondence that featured AI within it. For whatever reason, however, this one made the most waves publicly, likely probably because they were generating documentation with it, which I think is the reason for the no-no. And then even more interestingly, there's been both CDRH and CDER guidance and policy related to AI since actually mid 2023. So we put that graph out in a paper back in May of this year, and so that's been released, and it's something that you can actually monitor for right on the dashboard on KeyPedia. You can save a search related to AI, and that way you get any new warning letters, correspondence, or guidance updates related to AI. Some other comments I had on the paper were basically that even though this was a referenceable case and it made a large sum of news, I would say that in and of itself, the core violation and predicate rule, it really isn't that unchanged. I mean, it's really still about the quality unit, quality training, and efficacy. And I think for those that are pointing to, well, we'll train our quality unit, it's really AI literacy there you know, don't just generate documentation is a good idea to train on. So I guess I would start there on that.
So, George, maybe I can add a couple of comments
Absolutely.
on this warning letter because I think it's important. First, foremost, is FDA will know when you're using AI. So you need to be aware that FDA will figure out a way to know when is it that we're using AI. At the same time, the principle is not about FDA being against you or anybody using AI as a tool to facilitate the work that you do, but it's about you using it as a tool that will allow you to make your own decisions. In other words, you cannot rely on AI 100% of the time for as a substitute for the work that you're supposed to do, for the decisions you're supposed to make. And I think that the third aspect that is very important is that FDA, by commenting on these warning letters, is sort of setting the expectations for the conditions under which AI can be used. In other words, let's pay attention to any time that FDA makes a citation where the reference is AI based, because that's going to be part of the policy that FDA will be setting for the conditions under which AI can be used. In other words, I find it very important that even if it's in isolated cases, anytime FDA speaks about AI, it's basically setting up the conditions, the policy that it expects people to follow. So one thing that KeyPedia does is that it's able to actually pull all of those references from the FDA. So if you are going to write a procedure regarding the use of AI in your company, one of the things you should do is go to those citations, 483s, and warning letters that are in KeyPedia, extract them, and then use them as reference for the procedure that you're going to write, because those extractions will be representative of the FDA position with respect to the use of AI. So I see the positive in what FDA is doing because it's basically setting a position. And I think this is important.
I very much agree with that, Dan as well. Um, I'll show you also the document that George was speaking about. It is, let me share my screen again. Here. The white paper that was published through the PDA white paper board, and it does include this exact warning letter as well, the first CDER warning letter to name AI. And in it, there's a graph in here as well that shows the AI correspondence that he mentioned. You can also see what type of document type it is in the issuing office. You can see that the latest one was Perella, but the first one was an EIR from Alta Thera Pharmaceuticals, which was also CDER. So it seems like CDER has seen many of these AI uh, instances and have also put them in here. Sorry, have said something about them, which is really helpful in terms of, looking back and seeing what you can improve on based on other people's mishaps. And that's exactly what KeyPedia can help with, is breaking these down, seeing what they did wrong, and helping you fix that problem, especially with the guidances as well. There's also guidances also was about this time last year published on the FDA, published a guidance on AI, which was really helpful. And also the methods in this paper are also conducted said as well. I also put this paper in the chat, and so if you would like to read it more about it, you can also do that as well. And then also you can also have help. You can also have KeyPedia alert you for things such as AI in the market. So if the document ever comes up, such as a warning letter, EIR 43, you can have KeyPedia save the search for you so that whenever it does pop up, you're alerted. You can save it for AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these keywords, so that whenever the FDA does write it down on a document, it's there.
Yeah, these are the keywords that I've saved on the
Yes.
platform so that when there's records or guidances or things related to them, I basically get the email. Because it just does help, especially for like the EIRs and things like that, where it's not so easy to read the whole thing. Yeah, I think this is a good transition, Seth, into showing how you can sort of look for it in the future. I don't have too many other comments on the Puriola warning letter. I would note also, in terms of industry benchmarking, they were not what you would think of as very advanced. I'm pretty sure that they had decided to discontinue anything related to drug manufacturers. It was mostly a cosmetic laboratory, anyways.
I agree with that, George. There's also a predictive panel. You can also, Keypedia, in it, you can see how the predictive model works. So based off of instances that has happened, you can see how you can predict the future in terms of what will happen at a facility. So you can see here, based off artificial intelligence in the industry, compliance is very high up here. You can see manufacturing is also high, product form is also high. Why this matters? Um, while a wave of news coverage covers on while a wave of news coverage centers on AI specific warning letters and related topics, the reality is far more grounded. The most the most important finding of this review is not that the AI related observations exist, but that they remain in a small and heterogeneous subset of what the FDA is actually citing. In each of the 5 documents reviewed, the AI reference is one of 8 to 9 observations. In every case, the AI language is paired with more severe, better established citations. So essentially, AI is just scratching the surface. There's far more underneath that meets the eye, and we have to be careful with that. Like I said, if you want to access this full report, it's in the chat. Feel free to read it, read more about it, and if you like to, see it in action, please always feel free to let us know.